Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of Book Bestie. I'm your host Megan, and I can explain why everything looks a little different. To anyone that knows me in my personal life, me saying the statement that I'm an idiot isn't really shocking news. But for anybody listening, it may be your first time. I'm an idiot. I forgot my camera and my microphone actually down in Carlo, and I'm currently at home. This is my sister's mic, and this is being recorded on my phone. So just bear with me. We're a little bit of a mess this week. Okay, we're gonna get through it. We'll be fine, but we are a little bit of a mess. Regardless, hey, how are you doing? I hope you've had a good week. I hope you've had a better week than I have, honestly. Wish you the best, because this week has been she's been a little rough. But you know, it's fine. Onwards and upwards. It can only get better from here, which is my way of looking at it as of right now. So just to start the episode, I am going to talk about what I am currently reading, and that is Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. I am about 100 pages in. I'm really not far at all. I've already had 2 mental breakdowns. Yep. We're okay. Yeah, I don't know. It was literally like just a couple pages in, and I was just roaring already, and I was like, this feels illegal to make me cry this hard this quickly. But other than that, I'm really enjoying it. Anything by Justa Hastings, I'm in love with, especially anything Magnolia Parks, as everybody already knows and wants me to shut up about. But yeah, I'm loving it so far. I think it's a really amazing book, obviously, because I'm in love with her. So yeah, we are going to get into today's episode. As I mentioned before, we have a book club. It is on Discord. If you are listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, you are not able to click the links that are in the description. But if you head over to the YouTube, which is Megan Jor, or head over to my Instagram, Megan_Jor, or the Book Bestie Pod Instagram, you will find the link in the description to join our book club. Currently for February, which is actually, oh my god, it's almost over, which is terrifying. But for February, our book of the month was Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. So that should actually be next week's episode, me talking about our book club picks and what I read over the month, basically. I also have a TikTok, which is Megan_Jor. If you want to head over, follow me on there too. So I feel like I say this a lot, that I am really bad for reading the first 2 books in a series and then just basically never touching the series again. So I was just really curious about what series I have started and have not finished. And I feel like I just want to have a list of books that I need to read this year, a series I want to finish, as that is one of my reading goals for the year. So I've comprised a list of the series name, the books that I have not read in the series, and will I continue. Now, I did say I want to finish series this year, but I'm not going to finish something I don't want to read. If I didn't enjoy what I've already read of the series, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to try be a little ruthless. I have a lot of shit on my TBR and a lot of incredible books on my TBR that I just don't want to waste time on ones that I don't like. And I don't feel like that's a bad thing. Right? So the first book on the list is ACOTAR. Now, if you've listened to the first podcast episode, you know that I have personal beef with The Court of Silver Flames, which is the book I have yet to read in the ACOTAR series. I don't know. I just don't like Nesta. I had no desire. I mean, to be honest, after reading the first book, I wanted to read the second one, and then I wanted to read the third one, and I was really excited to kind of keep going. But I just made it through A Court of Frost and Starlight. I really didn't love it. I thought it was quite boring. So I had no kind of desire really to go on to A Court of Silver Flames, and then especially because it's a kind of Nesta-centric book, and I never really liked her. So it wasn't really something that I was, dying to read. I do want to finish it one day. I definitely will, just to say I did. It's sitting there. I might as well. Just, I have not been in the headspace to do so. But one day, for sure, I do want to finish it, just to say, I finished the ACOTAR series, whatever. So as of right now, I will continue it one day. I will get there. The second series is the Maid series by Danielle Laurie. It is like a mafia series. And again, first episode of the podcast, if you guys have listened, I love a good mafia romance. I have yet to read Darkest Temptation, which is book 3, and Purest Addiction, which is actually unreleased, but that will be book 4. I love having a mafia romance that I am somewhat through, just like sitting in my back pocket. Like if I read a heavy romance, or if I read a heavy fantasy, or just in general, I read something that I didn't love and I feel like I just need something easy and quick to get through, you bet your ass I will finish that series. So I constantly keep every single mafia book just in my back pocket. I will finish it one day. It's waiting for its right moment. To be honest, it's why I read the first 2 of the series, because I had obviously read something that I needed to kind of have a nice little palate cleanser with, you know, some mafia or whatever, which is a bit weird, but I needed a little bit of that. So that is probably why I started the series in the first place. So yeah, 100% I'm finishing that series. I'm saving it. I feel like I want to get into more fantasy soon, and that is definitely going to be something that I'm going to need as a bit of a palate cleanser. Just a nice little, I say nice in front of the word mafia, like it's not fucked, but you know. The next series is Maple Hills by Hannah Grace. The book that I have yet to read in that series is Wildfire. I do want to finish it. I loved Icebreaker. I definitely don't think Icebreaker was like the perfect book. It was definitely entirely too long. There was definitely a lot of the smut you could have cut out, and it would have been like the same book and I would have lived my life just fine. But I really enjoyed Hannah's writing. And again, a lot of people kind of shit on that book a little bit, kind of too harshly, I think, in my opinion. It's like, it's not meant to be some incredible literature. It's a hockey romance, you know. Like, take it as it is. I don't understand why people like go into books like this and like fluffy little, like, not fluffy, but you know, romance books, and they're just like, oh my god, it didn't give me this and this and this, and I'm like, dude, it's literally about like a hockey player and a figure skater. You know, like, what were you expecting here? I think the issue is you put too much into this book. You put too much like need into this book. You wanted it to give you all these things that it was never going to deliver. So I do want to finish it. The second book is set in a summer camp, I believe, which is just really interesting, I think. I like that we obviously meet all the boys through hockey, but we're not sticking to just hockey. We're kind of branching out into different settings to have the boys in, because I feel like that is something that can get quite boring in a hockey romance, is when we're in the same school and, you know, all that kind of shit. It's just like a little repetitive with like a very vague different storyline overhead. So I definitely want to read Wildfire. That is definitely on my TBR this year. The next series is Magnolia Parks. Who would have saw that coming? And obviously I'm going to finish that series. The one that I have yet to read is Into the Dark, and I mentioned at the top of the episode, it's what I'm currently reading. So that one will obviously be finished, and I feel like once I actually finish this book, I am going to reread the series. So expect a podcast episode on it soon. We're doing a deep dive. We're doing a big deep dive into it. We are going to get into it, and I am so unbelievably excited. I'm going to put so much work into that episode. It's going to be crazy. I'm never going to put any work into anything else more than I will with this episode. This episode's going to be like my child. I need you to know that. The next is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I've read Throne of Glass and I think a chapter of The Assassin's Blade, but that's it. To be honest, I want to reread it anyway because I read it a really long time ago. I think I just finished ACOTAR at that point. And I tried to get into Throne of Glass and I had just too much fantasy, so I had to I just put it down. But I do really want to read it because I just feel like everyone's reading it at the minute and I feel very left out. And also, I loved ACOTAR and I love Sarah J. Maas, and I feel like it's definitely a series that I am going to love. I just need to find the time for it. So I probably will end up rereading it so that I can go into it kind of knowing what's going on. So the next series is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I have read the first two books, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Good Girl Bad Blood, and I've yet to read As Good as Dead. It's the last book in the series. It's also huge compared to the other two. It's almost like the other two put together. I did really enjoy that series, to be honest. I read the first book and then I took a big break before I read the second one. But I feel like I do want to finish it one day. I did enjoy it, and obviously it's coming out as a TV show on BBC now soon. So I do want to finish it before we get to that series, I guess. So I kind of like to know what's going on. I'm annoying like that. I like to know before I watch it. But I really enjoyed the writing in Go Girls Guide to Murder. I feel like it was very fast paced. It was quite easy and digestible, but the story wasn't like basic or anything by any means. And it wasn't, you weren't spoon fed everything, you know, that kind of way. Like you could kind of figure it out as you went along. But it was still quite easy to read. And I just felt like I got through it really, really quickly. So it's definitely a series that I want to finish. Next is a series that I talked about last week, actually, which is the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. It is an F1 romance. I read the first one a really long time ago, and I just didn't love it. And then I saw the second one was on Kindle Unlimited, read that one, and I'm now kind of obsessed with the series. The second one I just found really, really good. So I still have the third one, which is Wrecked, and the fourth one, which is Redeemed, to read. I am a little bit into Wrecked, but I did put it down to start Magnolia, which I feel like is only fair and only right for me to do. Would I be me if I didn't do that? I don't think so, and I would have been quite concerned. But I am enjoying it. I do really like it. I like Lauren Asher's writing in the second book kind of onwards. Like even from what I've just read of the third book, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still going to enjoy this one way more than the first one. The first one gave me big Wattpad energy, which again, as I mentioned last week, is not always a bad thing, but it's not what I wanted at that moment. So yeah, I do 100% want to finish it. And actually another series by Lauren Asher I need to finish, Dreamland Billionaires. I need to read the third book, which is Final Offer. It is about the third and final brother. I loved the second book, actually, in the Dirty Air series, Terms and Conditions. It was a marriage of convenience, and to be honest, it was what made me want to finish the series in general. The first book, I could kind of take it or leave it, but definitely the second book kind of solidified that for me. It is the longest in the series, I think, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of people did enjoy it from what I remember when it kind of was released and everyone was talking about it. And to be honest, I just overall love the concept of those books. I think they're really cool. So I do want to finish it. I eventually will get to it. It's why we're making the list, people. We're keeping track. We're holding myself accountable in 2024. So the next is Knock 'Em Out series by Lucy Score. I have read the first one, scanning my bookshelf forward. Things We Never Got Over. Read that one. Did love it. Second one is about Nash. I think his name is Nash. Maybe I'm wrong. I said this last week as well. And I still haven't checked it since. From the light, let's check this out. Okay, Nash. I am right. Oh my god. Look at my memory go. I don't love Nash. I'm not going to lie. I don't have an overwhelming desire. I do own the books, so I probably will at one stage read them. And especially the last one as well. I know that a lot of people were really disappointed in that. And it was one that they were really looking forward to because it had Sloane. Yes, Lucian and Sloane. I hope that's how you say his name. I could be so wrong. It's been a week. Just leave me alone. If it's wrong, it's wrong. And everyone's just going to pretend like it's right. Okay. We're going to take one. You're all going to take one for the team and just pretend that I am right to keep my sanity. So anyway, that book, I know it disappointed a lot of people. So I'm a little nervous. Obviously, I'd love to form my own opinion on it and stuff, but it's just, I did enjoy the first book again, but not enough to make me want to. I'm dying to read the next ones, you know? So again, as I mentioned, I do own them. I probably will one day read them, but it's not high on the list whatsoever. Also, just why I mentioned that, these are in no particular order. I literally went through my Goodreads and was like, read that, haven't read this, and put it on the list. So these are in no kind of reading order for what I want to get to. They're just simply how I read them, how I found them on my Goodreads. The next series is Playing for Keeps by Becca Mack. I read Consider Me quite a while ago now, actually. and I was obsessed with that book. It's a hockey romance, but the communication, beautiful. Like, genuinely amazing. The communication between those two was insane, and I was obsessed with it. And it genuinely, I actually bought the first book. Sorry, again, my shelf is like right over there, so I'm looking at it as I'm speaking. I bought the first one because I actually wanted to own it. I read it on my Kindle, and I bought the second one, Play With Me, so I still have to read that one, Unravel Me, book 3, and Fall With Me, book 4. But yeah, 100% I am reading the end of that series. I am obsessed with it. I love the writing, just their communication, which is such a simple ask. It's really not a hard thing to ask for, but it's not something that you get very often, especially in hockey romances. You get that classic miscommunication. Everything could be solved with a very fucking simple sentence, and nobody will do it. But consider me, it was so different. I thank God for that, because I was kind of over it at that stage. So 100% I'm finishing that series. That is high on the list this year. Chestnut Springs by Elsie Silver. I literally have one book left. It's Hopeless. It's book 5. 100%. Like, it is just kind of, again, I was on a bit of a roll of reading them. And then I think I took a break to read Dirty Air. And then Magnolia got here. So, to be honest, if Magnolia hadn't come out, I probably would be finished it by now. I love those books. I just think they're so good. I genuinely don't think those books can do any wrong for me. So I am really excited to read book 5. I'm going to be sad that it's going to be over. But, and actually, like, looking at them all here, it's one of the shorter ones. Which kind of makes me sad, because I don't want it to end. But I'll keep y'all updated. And I'll also do an episode on Chestnut Springs. If that's something that you're interested in, for sure, let me know. Now, I feel like the next one is still honestly a bit of a shock to me, because of how much I loved the first book. But The Empyrean by Rebecca Yarros. I hope I said that right. I think I did. But anyway, just again, if I didn't, please ignore it and pretend like I didn't. Or I did. Oh, shit. Pretend I did say it right, regardless if I did or not, because I'm just not... I'm not in the headspace to give a shit, to be so incredibly honest. But yeah, I have yet to finish Iron Flame. Yeah, God. Like, I loved Fourth Wing. Like, completely obsessed with it. Was head over heels in love with that book. Was joined the countdown with everybody else of when Iron Flame came out. Second I got it, I started it. I think I'm like at least 50% of the way through, and I just have yet to pick it back up. And the worst part about it is that I don't really remember what's going on. So I'm kind of in like two minds of like, fuck, am I going to have to reread it? Which I really don't want to do, but I do want to finish it. So do I just like keep going and hope that eventually it just kind of clicks and I'm like, oh, that's where we are. I just didn't love it. It didn't grab me the same way the Fourth Wing did. I'm obviously going to finish it because I really want to like it. But yeah, I'm having a bit of a rough time with it. I'm not going to lie. It's been a bit hard. I've been reading it now basically since it came out. I don't even remember when it came out. November, I think. And it's just been kind of sitting there at 50% ever since, because I just can't. I don't have any desire to kind of read it, to be honest. Like, I do eventually want to, just to get on with the series or whatever, and how much I love Fourth Wing. I would love to give it a second chance. But right now, I just feel like I have a lot of other stuff on my TBR that I'm way more excited about to read, and I would rather go that direction than wait around for Iron Flame to get good. I saw a lot of mixed opinions on that book, actually, so it's not too shocking to me that I'm finding it a little difficult. But again, I want to form my own opinion on it, so eventually I will get back to it, but it's a rough one. I don't know. I hope I finish it one day, but the next series is Brutal Birthright by Sophie Lark. I have to read Stolen Heir, Savage Lover, Bloody Heart, Broken Bow, Heavy Crown. This falls under that same mafia category. There we go. Oh my god, like, am I okay today? I don't think so. I genuinely really don't think so, but that's a whole other conversation we'll have some other time. But that falls under that same category of mafia. I keep it until I need it. I will 100% finish it one day. But again, it's like they're like my little palate cleansers. Which sounds so weird. It's like mafia murder shit. It's like my little cute palate cleanser. I'm definitely that girl that goes to sleep like watching Criminal Minds and like murder documentaries and shit. Again, like this is not... We'll get into this some other time. Like this is not the episode to get into this. But yeah, it definitely falls into that same. I will 100% read these books. I read them on my Kindle. I actually don't physically own any of the mafia books that I've read, which I think is really funny. I just read them on my Kindle. I feel like that's just like the place to find them. Half these series that I read like mafia books from, that is where I found them, because it's just like so easy to get to them. And the last series that I'm currently sorry, I look like I'm crying if you're watching it. I just yawned. I am okay. Sorry, I realized that there was going to be a cut right before it, and then it was going to come back, and I was going to start talking, and I was going to look like I was crying. I wasn't. I'm okay. I may not seem it right now, but I promise you I'm okay. Anyway, the last series is The Summer I Turned Pretty, which I talked about in the book versus movie episode, I believe. I've yet to read the second and third book, and I really do want to read them one day. I don't know if I'll get to them before the next season comes out, even though that hasn't even been like announced yet. But I would just like to read them one day just to see the differences for myself. I've watched a couple of videos and stuff on some differences, but I would love to be able to kind of make that opinion myself and see what was different and what was the same, etc., etc. I'm pretty sure I own the first book. I do. I actually own the series cover. Now shoot me, but I think that's nicer than the original cover. Now, it's probably the only one that's nicer than the original cover, because goddamn, the Bridgerton covers are awful. Let's just be so for real. But The Summer I Turned Pretty, I do love the first book's series cover. I don't love the other ones because, like, in the first one, if you haven't seen it, they're like really far down a beach, and you can tell it's the three main actors, but like they're so far away that it doesn't really matter, and it's like a big beach or whatever. And I love it. I think it's so cute. But like the newer ones, I think they're all like sitting up really close on like a pier or something. So I'm just like not about that. So I'm gonna have to like pick a cover that I'm just gonna stick with. Now, as I was sitting here making this list, I was kind of like, wow, that actually like doesn't seem like that many. But then I realized that I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 series that I have bought and haven't even read one of yet. So that is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. That one makes sense because I haven't gotten to Throne of Glass yet. But I do want to get onto them, and I'm hoping by the time I finish Throne of Glass and the first 2 that they release the third one in the little book. Because right now it's like the big huge book that's like 4th wing size, and I own 2 little ones, and no way am I buying the big one for the third one. No matter how bad I want to read it, I'll wait. I own Caraval by Stephanie Garber, all 3 books. I have honestly been wanting to read that since like mid last year, and I've still yet to even open a page of it. Once Upon a Broken Heart series, I own the first 2, have yet to get the third one, because again, same situation. It's out in the big huge one, and I'm just not doing that to myself. I'm waiting until it gets little. So I need to read that, but obviously I have to read Caraval first. I have Shatter Me. I read about 20% of that book. I met one of the characters, thought he was like a President Snow type vibe character, went on TikTok and realized he was the main love interest. And honestly, I haven't been able to pick it back up since. That kind of traumatized me a little bit. I was convinced that this was like an elderly man, and it's just not. So that kind of hit me a little, I guess. Haven't touched it since. I probably will get back to it at one stage just to say that I did. It might be fun over summer when I start making videos on YouTube to make it a whole video, maybe, sort of. And then we have Letters of Enchantment by Rebecca Ross. I own the first book. I've yet to get the second one. I bought it when it blew up on TikTok, Divine Rivals. Have yet to read it. I do really want to. I just haven't gotten to it yet. To be honest, it's been like such a long time since I read anything fantasy, that I just have a hard time getting back into it. And right now with Magnolia, and this book's 700 pages. Can we talk about that? I was not expecting the size of this book when I got here, but it is high up on the list. I definitely want to get to it. I also have the Serpent and Dove series. I have the first one and Blood and Honey. I'm not sure if there's any more after that. Just heard really good things about them and I purchased them. And then I also have The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which I have yet to even begin. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of that series. But I also bought that not that long ago because I wanted to get into fantasy. And I was like, screw it. If I just like buy it and force myself to read it, I'll have to. Which I think is a pretty solid plan, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, sorry. I just had a mild panic attack because I decided to just like close my laptop, even though I'm recording the podcast onto my laptop, and then I thought I lost the entire episode. I didn't. We're okay. I still have it. But oh my god, that was a heart attack I did not need today. I'm not gonna lie. That got the old heart rate rose. That didn't make sense, but I don't care because I'm still trying not to cry. I would have freaked out. I don't remember the last thing I was talking about. So if it's a hard cut, I'm really sorry. I'm doing the best I can. I think I was saying something about how that's all the series that I am in the middle of or currently own. It may stress some people out knowing that that's kind of what I'm in the middle of right now, but I feel fine about it. It is what it is. I'll get there. Anyway, I'm going to end today's episode before I accidentally delete something else or leave something else at home when I need it, or just do something else generally stupid, because that seems to be the way I'm going right now. So for the safety of what I've already recorded, I'm going to end today's episode here. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm so sorry. I'm still like freaking out a little bit. That scared the crap out of me. It just like wouldn't respond, and I thought I lost it. Whew. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. As I mentioned, we have a book club. You can join us on Discord. You can use the link in the description of the YouTube videos or on my Instagram, Megan_Jor, or the Book Bestie Pod Instagram. Yeah, give us a follow over there. You know, I'm trying to post more on the Instagram at the minute. Follow me on TikTok, Megan_Jor. I post about all the new episodes and stuff there as well. Subscribe on YouTube, like, share with your friends, give us a comment, let us know what you're thinking. Also rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It helps tremendously, and it means that the two platforms push the podcast a lot more, so I really, really appreciate that. And that is all from me. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys have a good week next week. And I'm going to try and get my shit together. I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.